Today, my guest is Mike Fallat, and Mike Fallat, man, I'm so glad to know this guy because he has so many amazing things going on that we're going to get into. But how are you today, Mike?
Man, I'm excited, thrilled to be here, dude. And a lot of people always call me Fallat. It's actually Fallat. So people think there's like an ET at the end, but no worries. That happens all the time. And I'm trying to get that. It's a unique name, but Fallat is how you pronounce
Fallat.
it.
And the funny thing is, I think we on our conversation I had with you before, I said your name correctly, and then here we get live and I say it incorrectly. So
Yeah.
it's just one of
Yeah,
those
no worries,
things.
man. A lot of people
Sorry,
say
man.
I got on a call recently. I did a podcast with someone just because I put out this book and I was doing a bunch of podcasts. And a guy gets on, he goes, I've been following this guy for years. It's been exciting to watch his growth. His name is Mike Fallat. And I'm like, oh no.
Well, first off, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you. We're going to get into your story in a minute, so don't go all the way into that, but kind of tell us who you are, your business, that sort of thing.
Yeah, so my name is Mike Fallat. I own a company called Dream Starters Publishing. We help entrepreneurs all over the world bring their stories to life in a book, and then we show them how to use it as a marketing tool to increase their brand awareness, increase their credibility, their influence, and generate many leads so they convert it into many different revenue streams on the back end. So that's the main premise of the company. It's the $1 million book agency is basically the way to use your book as a weapon, as a tool, as a way to separate yourself from the pack by increasing your automation. You've probably heard of free plus shipping funnels. Our goal is not just to get the book done. It's to help you grow your business. So Dream Starters Publishing gets the book done. The $1 million book agency helps you use it the proper way.
Nice. It's like you don't have to go to two places. You don't have to go to a separate place to market the book. You can get the book published one place and market it in the same place. That's awesome. Awesome, man.
Absolutely.
And I think from your bio, I think it said 275 plus bestsellers at this point.
That's correct. Yeah, 275. Thank you. Thanks for bringing that up because we have about 300 done, a little over 300 done, but they're in the final stages. Just so you know, when you put a book together, 55% of people in America want to write a book. Only about 15% will ever start one. 6% will ever get halfway, and less than 3% will ever finish. Because when you're talking about maybe 20, 25, 30,000 word choices, you can tweak and tweak and tweak forever. So when you talk about the 275 completed best sellers on Amazon, people think that's the end of the goal. Like that's the beginning. Once you're a bestseller, man, now the doors open up. Now you can use it as a free plus shipping funnel. Now you can get podcast interviews. Now you can get on stages and change your world.
Awesome. Now I want to dive into like some personal questions. I do this with all my guests. So I know from your profile that you like fast cars and dirt bikes. What is your favorite car?
My favorite car, this goes back to when I was 7 years old, is a 1969 Mustang. So I was 7 years old. I went to my cousin's house. He had a 69 red Mustang. He had a footprint gas pedal. And I was like, man, this is everything. This is the coolest car ever. So I made a vow right then and then, right, to get one of those cars sometime in my life. So it took me 35 years to get it. Or wait, so at the time I was, so about 30 years to get that car. But eventually I bought my dream car, which is a 1969 Mustang. Now I have a new dream car on my list, and that's a Dodge Viper, 4th or 5th gen convertible, green to match the colors of the business. So that's the plan for this year, Dodge Viper.
Nice. I can't wait to see that on your socials because every time I see that car on your social profile, the Mustang, I'm like, man, that's such a nice car.
Thanks, man. Yeah, dude. I just love classic cars. I'm not a big hey man, the Rolls Royces are just everything. To me, I don't really care about comfort. I got a Jeep. I'm big into top off. I'm a motorcycle guy. I want to feel the air. So when you drive around in a classic car or a convertible or a Jeep, you just kind of feel free. And I think I need that at all times.
Yeah, I think right. Yeah, you're so right with even the dirt bikes, the top off cars and the muscle cars. that to me means freedom.
Damn straight. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so much fun. And I think that, you need to leave these breadcrumbs, these clues. So, why would people listen to me? Is because I'm living, my dream, right? So like, you can't fill someone else's cup unless your cup is full. So you can't give someone that to which you do not have. So if I want to say, man, you got to be free, you got to go after what you really want, but I'm not doing that, shit, why would you listen to me?
Right. Yeah. Very, very, very true. Next question. Is there anywhere you've been in the last recently that 10 years ago you thought you would never travel to?
Travel to. Oh man. Okay. So I would say that I wouldn't say a place. I would just say sitting down and talking with billionaires,
Mm.
sitting there and having a coffee with a billionaire. I really never saw that. I would say that I always want to be around successful people, but talking and hanging out with a billionaire was like, man, there's only a few in the world. Why would I even come across one of them? And so it's those surreal moments. I sat down had coffee at this event in Montana, and I'm just sitting there talking with this guy, and we're having a good conversation. And I heard his name, and I'm like, oh my God, so you're him. You're the guy. Holy smokes, you're the main man here. I had no idea. And so it's those moments in my life that kind of like shocked me more than anything else. I got in my Jeep a couple years ago. I drove all around the country, got to see everything that I've ever wanted to see. This past year, or past couple of weeks, I guess, I drove to Maine. I got that off my bucket list to, camp out in Maine. And so there's not really a place that's on my wow, I can't believe I saw that list. There is more of the I can't believe I got to experience that moment.
Nice, nice. Now, if I could talk about that experience, the reason that you got to that experience is because I'm guessing, but I'm pretty sure it's true. You just started surrounding yourself with the people that you want that would get you there, right?
Yeah.
People that eventually would connect you to being able to sit down next to a billionaire.
Yeah. So I realized that you are only as strong as your circle. That's my philosophy with my inner circle. So you will not attract that to which you don't have inside you. So you need to kind of get in tune with yourself more so than anything else. Your frequency, your beliefs, your consistency, like who are you? And the more you know who you are, the more you know who you can help. And so then you realize, man, who do I want in my life? The more I know myself, I want these type of people in my life. How do you elevate your life? You have to elevate your frequency. The moment you do that, other people at that high level frequency take notice of it. They see your consistency. They see those breadcrumbs that you've left behind. They've seen, your growth. They've seen your transformation. And now they invite you into their life more and more. Jordan Peterson has this amazing quote out there, and he says, in order to be successful, you need to win lots of games. But in order to win lots of games, you need to be invited to play lots of games. So reverse engineer that strategy on how to get invited to play lots of games. So if I'm thinking of like the very successful individuals, go-givers, go-getters out there, who would they want in their life? Well, someone who adds value, who's constantly growing, who doesn't quit, who sticks by their word, who shows up to the events, who gives back, right? Who listens to their advice and actually implements. So the moment I started saying, okay, who do I want to be around? Reverse engineer, what would make me valuable to those valuable people? Start doing that. That allows them to invite you to these games more, and therefore you have more opportunities or swings at the bat.
Love it. Love it. One of the things that I really like about you since I've been following you on social is how authentic you are. You don't hide anything about yourself, right? You are who you are, accept it or not accept it. You attract the people you want to attract and detract the people you don't want to attract, right? So
it's a part of it, right? It goes back to the, you are only going to attract more of what's inside of you. So if I was fake and if I'm putting myself out there in a certain way, and then we meet in person and it just feels off, well, then you just wasted time. You're not going to get business deals. You're not going to grow. So 2020, I separated myself from the pack by being authentic, transparent, sticking up for myself, saying what I truly believed. And that's when people said, man, you know what you're saying is something that I really wish I could say. And I realized that courage is not only attractive, it's contagious. I would walk into certain restaurants right around 2021, 2020, and I wouldn't wear a mask. And I'm like, I'm done with this. It doesn't work. I don't believe in any of this stuff that you're talking about. And I would see people around me start to take off their masks. They didn't believe in it either. But because I had some type of courage to stand up for myself and say what I truly believed, they had the courage within to start doing it. That happens on social media every day. So the more you show yourself, you're going to inspire them. And then they're going to say, you know what, that guy has something that I want, that courage, that instinct to really stand up for themselves. And that's what I want. And Carl Jung, I don't know if you're a clinical psychologist reader, if you read these type of books, but Carl Jung talks about the shadow within all of us. All right. Have you ever heard of Carl Jung?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So Carl Jung talks about this shadow, and the shadow is actually portrayed in a movie called Fight Club. So, whenever you're looking at Brad Pitt's character, who is basically the embodiment, the perfect symbol of someone who's in touch with their shadow, controlled it and overcame it, and now is completely free. You can only be free once you control and confront your shadow. And that's what Brad Pitt did. So he doesn't have a lot of money. He doesn't have a lot of success, but he's free in every way that the other guys are not. And that's attractive to him. So if you can start to be the symbol, the inspiration, the motivation for someone out there to become free in every which way they are not at that moment, now you can start to build a tribe, and you can do wonders with that tribe.
Nice. I want to know your story. So I know a little bit about you from following you on socials and the few conversations we've had, but I want to know what happened at the beginning, and how'd you get to where you are now? I know it might be a long story. Give us the cliff notes.
Yeah, make a coffee real quick. All right. Yeah. So, we've done over 300 books. People think that I was just this guy who loved reading books my whole life, and that's absolutely incorrect. I didn't really pick up a book until I was 22 years old. I read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. It changed my life, and I was off and running. I was into this personal development phase. But go back into the very beginning. When I was 16, I started working for a guy who owned a convenience store. His name was Milo. Milo was very successful, had restaurants, real estate, owned the convenience store, drove the nice cars, dated the pretty women. So whatever he was doing, I was like, this guy's on to something. I was going to join the Navy. My whole life, I was just going to follow my dad's footsteps. I wanted to become a Navy SEAL eventually. And, that was on my radar. But when I started working for this guy named Milo, that's whenever I started to see this world of entrepreneurship. So I started working for him. He taught me some things about money. The way I kind of caught his attention was I didn't cash my paychecks. I was obsessed with saving money when I was younger. I was in the scarcity mindset my whole life. Take it, save it, don't use it, don't even look at it. So I wouldn't cash my paychecks for months and months at a time. So I would just have, I'm 16, 17, 18 years old with tons of paychecks being stacked up. Because if I can't access it, I wouldn't spend it. So he came down one day and he said, are you the guy who is not cashing paychecks? Do you know that you're screwing up our entire accounting? So I said, yeah, because if I can't touch it, I can't spend it. He goes, let me start to teach you a little bit about money. So he started giving me magazines and teaching me about mutual funds and whatnot. And he's like, you know what, when you graduate from high school, I recommend you go to this school, because even if you fail at everything, you'll have a degree from Duquesne University. I said, I don't think I can afford that. That's a lot of money, Duquesne University. He said, don't worry, get the degree, get the student loans, all that, and you'll be okay. Anyways, I go through school because of him. And at the end of the year of my senior year, he gives me Rich Dad Poor Dad. And that's whenever I was like, what the hell did I go to school for? So I right out of school, got my real estate license, bought my first 4-unit building. I was off and running as an entrepreneur. I thought I was the king of entrepreneurship in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And I'm making a little bit of money. Here I am, 22, 23 years old, making a couple $100 a month from being a real estate owner, right? So I'm fixing toilets, fixing sinks, and my life was just not good. So I started to create these passion projects, these startups. I had 4 startups in a row. Terrible ideas, major failures, started to put me in severe debt. But my love was for creating. I just love creating brands and ideas and businesses. So 4 businesses for the next couple of years, all failed miserably. Then I started to get really smart. I said, you know what? Let me just create something really simple, really basic. How about a direct-to-home dog product service? Okay, I love dogs. I'll go to a dog show. I'll sing some songs on my guitar. We'll sell some monthly deliveries of these surprise gifts. And I started to make some money. And people started coming to me for the very first time. Mike, it looks like you know what you're doing. Can you help me start a business? And I said, you know what? My first four failed because of vision. I had no vision. I didn't keep things simple. I didn't even understand demand. All right. While I'm helping you start your business, even though I was only making probably $30,000, $40,000 a year, which was what is not a major success, but a success. I said, why don't I break everything down into a book? Why don't I start to write a book about what to do when you're starting your first business and what not to do? So I put the book out there, 2015. My life changed forever. I started getting speaking gigs and attention, and I thought I would help people start businesses. Turns out more people were interested in the fact that I wrote a book. Hey, you wrote a book. Can you help me do it? Yeah. How about you pay me $2,500 and I'll write the book for you. We'll consider it ghost written, very similar to the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, who is actually, it was actually written by a woman named Sharon Lechter. We'll self-publish it just like I did. We'll put it up on Amazon. We'll teach you how to do the bestseller trick so you can become an Amazon bestseller. And now your life will be completely different afterwards. So I started doing that for many clients, grew it into a team. Here we are 6 years later, over 300 books. I have about 15 different writers, many different designers, project managers, ads manager, funnel manager, writing manager. And it's just been unbelievable to get to interview entrepreneurs. So it's not just the fact that we're doing all these books with people. It's great because I get to learn from the best out there now. Now they're teaching me their lessons and their stories. And guess what? They're paying us as they do it.
That's awesome. One of the main reasons that I do this podcast is because I get to meet very interesting people like you and hear your story and get your wisdom. And not only do you share it with me, you share it with everyone in my audience. And it's just amazing. And I love this is my way of giving to the community, right? Is bringing people like you on and just helping them build their dreams.
Yeah. Jim Rohn, the quote that probably changed my life more than anything else was, be of service to the many, for service to the many leads to greatness. All you got to do in life is just serve the many. Well, how can I be of service? If you stop thinking about, man, what is in it for me? How can I serve you? That's when everything you want starts to come to you rather than you chase it. There is that philosophy that the go-giver will always beat the go-getter, right? If you're going out there just to get, now you're going to lose. But if you're out there to serve with a podcast, a book, or a video, or a course, or anything, then it's valuable. And now you can monetize it if you'd like. And then you can do wonders with that, either money or the connections, or just I guess you could say, relationship capital that you put into the market.
Yes. Anyone that follows me knows how big I am on relationships. I think it's one of the key cornerstones to building any successful business. And it's one of the main reasons that's gotten me to where I am today. So I couldn't agree with you more.
Relationship capital. Mark Evans, I'm wearing a hat right now. If you guys can see this video, Mark Evans, DM, he's a guy who changed my life. And I don't know if you're familiar with his crew, which is like the DM family, the DM Alliance. He's very big on social media, friends with Sean Whalen. And he's the one that taught me about, the relationship capital based off of, your speed of answering questions, going to the events, following through with your word. You can't do this thing on your own. And the fact is that you just don't want to do it on your own. This journey, the entrepreneur journey, is so much more fun when you can look to the left and to the right of you and see people you just want to win. And now you're on their side. You can help them grow and you're valuable to them. And when you have a circle or a family or some type of group that you are just all in it together, helping each other out, you have your own economy. He wrote a book called Me Economy, How to Control Every Part of Your Life. If you can start to build this tribe of individuals with relationship capital, you can create your own economy and nothing can stop you then.
Nice. I'm going to have to check out that book. I've heard of it, but I have not picked it up yet.
There's two books that we helped him out with. It's Me Economy and Magician vs. Mule. He has another one coming out here pretty soon, but those are the two. Magician vs. Mule. Doug, did you grow up with like a blue collar mentality and like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that real quick. Because I want to.
Okay, so my mom sometimes worked 2-3 jobs, right? I've had I had a couple stepdads in my life, and they worked a job, but it was all paycheck to paycheck growing up, right? And have to the money mindset, you know, we only have so much. So
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
that's it. It's the hard work, right? The work ethic.
yeah,
What I realized is that work ethic doesn't always equal financial success. Work ethic is definitely a piece of it, but in the book Magician versus Mule, he talks about the blue collar mentality. It's amazing, but you need to shift your mindset. Rather than be the mule, which is all about doing everything yourself, start to be the magician. Outsource your weaknesses, outsource non-revenue producing activities, collaborate, create relationship capital. The blue collar mentality is phenomenal. But when it comes to now being the magician, being everywhere, being omnipresent, it'll start to, most people like myself, I used to be a landscaper, work at a convenience store, I clean bathrooms at night. I loved having the ability to work hard. I was so proud to work hard. You probably were too. Man, I'm the hardest worker. Nobody can do it like me. And then you realize like, it doesn't matter about the work ethic. It matters about the results. Are you producing results? And that book was the first time that I realized that I was the mule. And you can't ever become truly successful as an entrepreneur if you have the mule mentality.
right. And find your way to deliver value to the world, right?
That's it. Yeah. Right. Like you are, I guess you're only as good as your last at bat, but you have to be somebody who is valuable to others. You need to help them overcome adversity, change their mindset, make more money, accomplish something like maybe create a podcast or write a book. Just be of value to someone. And then you can eventually, I mean, there's that great phrase, you know, if you do more than what you're paid for, you will eventually get paid for what you do. Right. So if you start to like analyze that, just be viable wherever you go. And try to leave the place a little bit better than whenever you entered. And man, things just start to work out in your favor.
Yeah, opportunities open up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now I want to dive into your actual business. So let's talk about $1 Million Book.
Yep.
Is it called $1 Million? Is your company $1 Million Book?
Yeah. So the company's called Dream Stars Publishing for the publishing side, and then $1 Million Book Agency for the other side.
Okay.
The book itself is $1 Million Book. And if you want a free copy, you go to milliondollarbookpro.com.
Nice. I'm going to get a copy for sure.
Thank
So
you.
tell us what the key ingredients are to launching a bestseller, if you're willing to divulge those secrets.
Yeah, man. I basically create a course on this. There's probably an hour and a half worth of content to actually give you the step-by-step to become an Amazon bestseller. You know, becoming a bestseller is not shouldn't be the main goal. That should be just an ingredient to the whole thing. So if I were to take a step back and just say, okay, before you even start to write a book, reverse engineer how you're going to use it. Start with the end in mind, the moniker that you want to create in the next year or 3 years or 5 years. Who are you in the future? What does that person look like? What do they dress like? Who are they surrounded by? More importantly than anything else, what are they going to offer the world? Start to identify that. Now break it down into these generic lessons that you want to offer to individuals so you can help them get to where you're at now, whether it's with a service or a product or an idea or a life philosophy, whatever it is. Break down the lessons that you would like to teach the world. Generic lessons. We look for 15. Write those down on a napkin, a bullet point list, whatever. And then put a dash and put a story, a sentence, a word, a story that taught you that lesson. It could be what your grandfather showed you whenever you're 7 years old. It could be whenever your client screwed you over last week. It doesn't matter. Give me the story, because the people who are reading your book will want to know the lesson, because nobody cares about you until you help them with their life. And then the story, because nobody really will trust you until they know your backstory. So where you come from, what you believe. Because if you have these 3 things, the lesson, the story, and the target audience in mind, it's easy for you to get down and start writing this book. We believe, and this is our philosophy, outsource the writing. All the books that I've read that are very, very, very important to me, most likely had 100 different editors or a different writer than the person who actually gets the credit for. It's ghostwritten for a reason. Sharon Lecter wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because Kiyosaki is the brand builder. He's the guy who's the genius when it comes to building the board games and the name and getting himself out there. Very intelligent guy. The last thing he's going to do is sit down and write a book which probably he would spend about maybe at least 100 to 200 hours writing it minimum. So he would outsource. We believe that as long as you have the lesson and the story, you can sit down with someone like me. We would interview you. My team would hear your Zoom call. Basically, it's a 2-hour interview one day, 2-hour interview another day. We break everything down, have the conversation. The average person speaks roughly about 150 words per minute. So if I could just keep you talking, we're going to get the story and lesson and all the details and everything that is important to this chapter out of you. Take that content, I send it to a writer, the writer writes it 30 days later, sent back to you. Now it's time for you to review your own book and make adjustments. Okay. You tweak, you take out, you add in, you really make it yours. You know, this is where you get the tonality on point. There's a reason why we try to do things in such a short window. When you start to write a book, if you would spend 2, 3, 4 years writing a book, you are going to evolve and change over those 4 years so drastically that by the time you get to chapter 15 on your terms, chapter 1, 2, and 3 may not be even relevant to you. You are going to evolve. That's why we recommend you do get a ghostwriter to get this book done. It's going to be your story and your lessons. It's almost like a videographer or a web developer. Just hire someone to get the major bulk there, and then you can go in and tweak. Then we help you out with title and subtitle. We give you cover designs. You pick all your favorite covers, make adjustments, read your book, make adjustments, upload to Amazon. Amazon will print your book for roughly $4 per copy. You get it in the mail. You get it in a matted finish or a glossy cover, 6x9, at least 120 pages, at least 25,000 words, which is about a 2-hour read. And now you get to make your final adjustments. You say, man, this is a real book. I can't, by the way, you'll never, ever forget what it's like to get your book in the mail for the very first time. It's unbelievable. I still couldn't believe it whenever I got Dream Starter, my first book, in the mail. Anyways, you get in the mail, you look at it one last time, you make final adjustments, you give me the thumbs up, and then we put you on the schedule to become an Amazon bestseller. Sounds like a scam, I know that, but it's actually very easy if you understand leverage, positioning, and timing. And I think that that's really the recipe for all life. If you are able to leverage all your resources and you're able to time it right, all right, then man, you can be dangerous in everything in life. So we leverage our network, we position it on a certain category on a certain day, and then my network and your network all buy the book, the Kindle version, 3-hour window. 8 hours later, you're an Amazon bestseller in at least one category. You can add the bestseller logo to it, change your bio. Now your name is associated with a best-selling book referencing something that is tied to your dream moniker that we talked about. So even if they don't read the book, they're going to say, Doug Greathouse, he wrote the book, The Entrepreneur Journey. Oh, he has the podcast called The Entrepreneur Journey. I guarantee that Doug Greathouse has something to do with the entrepreneur journey. And so if I want a podcast interview or if I want to have some type of guest speaker, I want a guy who wrote the book on the entrepreneur journey. So now you're basically just leaving all these breadcrumbs to make it easy on the market for them to understand what you're all about. Book gets done. You create the free plus shipping funnel. You generate attention via social media. You get a lot of attention on other podcasts and speaking gigs that you've done. And now you can start to build this tribe. Matters more on the back end than the front end. So our goal is 75 days, start to finish, Amazon best-selling book. And then right after it's a bestseller, create your own website, your own funnel, and start to create a tribe. The moment you can look around and have 200, 300, 400 people that are on your side, that believe in you, that trust in you, that you can help them get to the next level, now you have an army, and that's what we shoot for.
Nice. So the next question I had on my list to ask you, I think you pretty much covered what most authors struggle with is something you take off their plate, because I think most authors, in my opinion, struggle to get started, right? To put the pen to paper, but you help them with that process. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I would say that, probably the biggest thing that anybody struggles with is the imposter syndrome. So a lot of people say, who am I to write a book? And my question to them is there anybody in this world that could benefit from what you've learned? Anybody in the world? And most likely, I mean, I would say guaranteed everybody has something to teach, but most likely they say yes, of course. And it's like a no-brainer. Well, then I say, isn't it like your moral obligation to help those people? So if you think you can help somebody, but you're keeping it to yourself, why would you do that? It's not like back in 1905 where you needed one of the 5, 6 main publishers to come to you to grant you permission. Are you waiting for something to happen, someone to give you permission to write a book? Why don't you take control of your life, put your book out there so you can help someone get to the next level of their life, which chances are when you do that enough times, you can get to the next level of your life. So the imposter syndrome is really tough to overcome for those individuals who have never put themselves out there. So if you can overcome that, now you can be dangerous, because who's going to listen to you if deep down in your core, you're saying, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. You have to first believe it. So the moment that happens, then the next part is the writing. You break everything down to the lessons and stories. The writing aspect is time consuming. Every one of our writers will probably spend at least 110 hours on all the books, at least. And so when you think about it, do you have 110 hours of free time, mind clarity to actually sit down and write? Not many people do. And if you're a successful entrepreneur, you probably value your time at a high dollar. So the last thing you should do is actually sit down, because now you know it's costing you money. So a lot of those variables can be overcome with the right belief that you have something to offer, and then hiring the right person to interview you and get it out of you.
Would you agree that like one of the best ways to conquer imposter syndrome is just to take action, right? Get over your fear.
Well, that's a good point. All right. So how do you overcome the imposter syndrome? By doing everything in your power to become the expert. The moment you say, I put out a book, well, then shit, man, I better know what I'm talking about. I better read more books. I better join more masterminds. I better close more deals. I better understand myself more. So how do you overcome it? By doing everything in your power at all times to become the expert. And when you do that, people sense it. You have more confidence, and you start to get around these individuals who are multimillionaires, and you now know you belong, right? People look to you for advice and information. So the more you level up your life internally and externally, that's whenever everything changes. So you have to overcome the imposter syndrome by changing the trajectory of your life. Every time there's more pain associated with changing the trajectory, but there's more opportunity. So when you realize, man, I got to level up, and you do it, now you feel like you belong, and the market senses that.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mike, for all of this. It's been so valuable. And I want you to tell everybody should get with you to market a book, right? Because it's just, we covered it, right?
Yeah. So the website, the best way to look at is dreamstarterspublishing.com. You can take a look at some of the clients we've worked with, some videos, testimonials, just get a sense of it. And if you want to just to see the process, start to finish, like imagine being an outsider, but as soon as you get my book, you'll be on my you'll be in my contact list. So go through the process. Go to milliondollarbookpro.com, get a copy of my book. It's called $1 Million Book: How to Publish book and that generates wealth without even selling it. And that's my whole key here. All right. You give it away, right? You want to create a buying relationship with people. I want you to get this book, all right, for a low cost. You can go on Amazon and buy it for full price, but I want to give you it for a lower cost, because I don't want Amazon to get all the data. I want the data. I want to know who's buying my book. That way I can serve you more. So the publishing the book is one thing, but the free plus shipping, how I serve you afterwards, that's what really matters. So if you want to get the book, I'll show you exactly the entire process, how we do things. We can always jump on a call, and I'm here to help in any which way.
And what was that web address for them to get the book again?
Yeah, milliondollarbookpro.com.
Nice, nice. So make sure to go check that out. And any last words for our entrepreneurs?
I would say that, I'd like to end with an Earl Nightingale quote. All right. And he's the one that defines success the best way. Earl Nightingale says, success is knowing where you're at and knowing where you want to go, and then having irrefutable evidence that you are actually progressing towards it. So I think the entrepreneur journey, I don't think it's about money right out of the gate. I think that's one part. But if you're developing inner skills, if you're becoming more than you were yesterday, that to me is a success. So to me, the ultimate successful entrepreneur is someone who's always chasing that next idea of themselves.
Thank you so much, Mike. And until next time, keep moving forward.